I am welcoming you to today's TechSoup webinar on new member orientation. The purpose of this webinar is to help folks and nonprofits who are new to TechSoup to understand what are the things TechSoup can do for you. How can we help your nonprofit? We're going to talk about a lot of different ways that we can work with you. There'll be some time for some question and answer at the end as well. And as Kelly and Aretha were both saying, if you want to go ahead and submit questions using the Q&A feature in the Zoom dialog bar, where it says, mute, stop video, etc. There's a Q&A section in there that you can use to ask your questions. So without further ado, let me get rolling here. And I'm actually going to start with what we call just the quick buzzword alert, because there are some terms that may pop up in this webinar or in other interactions you have with TechSoup. Now, I don't want to assume everybody thinks that they know exactly what these things mean, or maybe we have different versions of what that we think they mean, and maybe we don't know what they mean. They're just a buzzword. And so I just want to put a little concise framing around those things. The first term you may hear a lot in technology and nonprofit circles is the notion of digital transformation, which can sound large and bookish, but really, if you boil it down honestly for your nonprofit, what it means is just it's becoming more tech savvy. It's using technology tools to accomplish your mission, to keep your operating system going. The second term you'll hear is civil society. And lots of folks are members of civil society. And when we talk about civil society to TechSoup, what we're really talking about is non-governmental people and organizations. That's what nonprofits are. That's what 501c3s are. And we all have a mission or an objective that we're working on. But broadly taken together, we call that civil society. And then finally, there's a specific term, and since we work in tech and close to the marketplace of tech a lot, that we hear a lot, which is cloud adoption. It doesn't need to be mysterious. When we talk about cloud adoption, we're really just talking about using more modern tools that are web-based tools, as opposed to tools that you just download to your computer and just use on your computer. That would be what we call an on-premises tool, but a cloud-based tool, cloud adoption itself is, using those tools that are constantly linked up to the internet from your local machine. They receive updates that way. Perhaps you're backing up data into the cloud itself, but that's all that means. All right, now let's get into the meat of what is TechSoup and how can we help you? And let's start with the very first thing that I think matters a lot here. Like you, TechSoup is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. And so that means a couple of things are important right up front. We understand how nonprofits are different than for-profit organizations. We know what it means to have a tight budget, to try to do more with less, and to constantly push the edge of what we can do with the tools that we have. And we also understand how a nonprofit's budget works, right? And the budget cycle itself, and how you propose a budget, and how you articulate what the goals and objectives are of your programs for that year. So we share a very common body of knowledge with you. And we're a nonprofit that actually cares a lot about how other nonprofits are using technology. In fact, that's one of our core mission areas. Our mission is broad, but one of the most important parts of it is that it includes supporting other nonprofits who are working with technology to build a more equitable planet. At TechSoup, we have a perspective. We really think that technology can be a powerful and very helpful tool. There's a lot of obstacles that nonprofits have to overcome to using technology, and we're here to try to help you overcome some of those obstacles. But we really think that tech itself is a tool that can do a great amount of good in the world when placed in the hands of nonprofits. The third thing we do is we host a catalog of technology products. And it's priced specifically for nonprofits from major brands like Microsoft, Dell, Intuit, Adobe, and many, many, many more. We'll look a little more deeply in a few minutes at what that catalog contains. But what's cool to know about this is TechSoup actively negotiates with these corporations and works closely with their philanthropic arms to really try to make these products more affordable for nonprofits. And that's important because we know that price can often be one of the things that stops nonprofits from being able to adopt a technology or to use it fully. And so we try to help where we can to make things more affordable. But in the modern world of technology, it's not enough just to buy a piece of hardware or to own a piece of software. There's so much work that happens after the fact in terms of setting up that hardware or software, making sure that it is configured correctly, that it's working with your other systems, that it's installed correctly, that updates are happening. All of this management of technology is a huge service industry in the for-profit sector. But again, at TechSoup, we try to offer those services at an affordable price point to nonprofits so that you're not alone, meaning that we are there to help you beyond just getting a piece of tech. It's actually like how to use it, how to train yourself on it, how to install it and optimize it. We also, in that vein, provide a specific set of content, courses, and trainings to help nonprofit staff understand technology and build their technology skills. We have an entire TechSoup courses platform, and one of the major elements of there is the Microsoft Skills Center, and that's a very specific thing designed to help folks bring up their skill level. For instance, how many of us have looked online for tips and tricks on how to use Excel? It's a very powerful program. We know it can do something, but you may not know exactly how to do it. And we try to provide that kind of technology skills and training for nonprofit folks. And then finally, like most of you, TechSoup also provides its own programming based on grants. Broadly, we are a key player in trying to strengthen and build the resilience of global civil society. We're not just a United States-based organization. TechSoup, in fact, is also called the TechSoup Global Network. We are around the world. We work with nonprofits in countries around the world to do the same kind of work that I've just outlined here for you in the United States. And so that is a big way of saying that we do this because we really care. We think, again, that like technology can really provide a very powerful tool in the effort to make the world a better place. So, as I said at the front, this training today, or this webinar today, is really designed to help new members to TechSoup understand how we can help and what the things are that we can provide in terms of services and products and training. But as Aretha and I have been looking together in the past at the folks who are attending these webinars, one thing that we actually noticed is like there's an awful lot of folks who attend this orientation webinar who are not yet qualified and registered with TechSoup. So before I go any further, I want to call out for you that in order to use the TechSoup product catalog, you do need to be a qualified nonprofit in the TechSoup database. And that really means that you have become a TechSoup member. And that's how we can confirm that your organization is indeed a 501c3 nonprofit, that you are eligible for the pricing, products, services, et cetera, that we provide. And if your nonprofit is not yet a TechSoup member, I strongly encourage you to please log on to TechSoup after this webinar is finished and begin the process of becoming a TechSoup member. This is the URL that you would go to, and we'll send you a copy of this deck after the webinar is over. You can just click on this link. It'll take you right to the page where you begin that process. Or if you want, you can navigate to the TechSoup site yourself, and the Join TechSoup link is in the top right-hand corner. It's a button. You won't miss it. But it's important to note that it's not just that anybody can use the TechSoup catalog. It is very specifically for 501c3 nonprofits at the moment, and you do need to be a TechSoup member in order to use it. All right, moving on. As I said, one of the big ways that we try to work with nonprofits and help is by providing access to a technology catalog that we have built over a couple of decades now, working with major brands that I mentioned at the top. Yeah, just to make it a little easier to see how to use this catalog, I'm showing you here the TechSoup homepage. There at the top is the product catalog link. You can click that for a drop down, or there's an orange button right in the middle of the homepage right there, browse catalog. That'll take you right into the product catalog. I want to talk in a little more detail about what's in that catalog, because this, of course, is a major part of how we try to help. We have relationships with a bunch of really great nonprofit or great corporations who are working to provide nonprofits with access to their tech. And Microsoft has been one of those partners from the very early days of TechSoup. These days, what lots of nonprofits come to TechSoup for when it comes to Microsoft products, they're looking at Microsoft 365 or Office 365 Enterprise. That's the cloud-based version of Microsoft Office, right? We've probably all come up using Microsoft Office, that package of programs like Outlook, Excel, Word, and numerous others that lots of folks use in their day-to-day activities. Certainly Outlook is like a staple of email communications for most folks. And the cloud version, Microsoft 365, is really the place where nonprofits want to be these days. It's it's backed up to the cloud. You can access it from multiple locations, from multiple devices. It's much more secure. There are many nonprofits who still want to use the on-premises version of Microsoft Office, and we have that available as well. But Microsoft 365 really is where you want to be. The on-premises software that we have, each license for Microsoft Office is $222 at this point, just to be totally transparent on where that pricing is. If you get it without software assurance, that price can drop to $118 per license. And then we also provide access to Windows Pro full operating system. So that, this is your path to bring computers up to compliance with Windows 11 if you need to go down that path. Yeah, as I was saying, you can upgrade from Windows 10 Pro or Enterprise to Windows 11 through TechSoup. Another major partnership that nonprofits are extremely positive about is Adobe. And if you're somebody who works specifically in nonprofit communications, maybe you're a director of communications, maybe you have somebody on staff like a designer or a writer or somebody who has to produce your communications, pretty likely they've worked with Adobe products at some point in time. We certainly probably on this call, everybody has worked with a PDF at one point in time. That's a portable document format, right? PDFs were invented by Adobe back in the day. So they have a long time interest in communications and those kinds of creative tools. And at TechSoup, we have access to Adobe Creative Cloud, which is kind of like the staple of what designers really depend on when they're creating beautiful visuals. Acrobat Pro DC is the specific standalone program that lets you manage PDFs as well. And then we have a new item in the catalog, which is Adobe Express, which we're excited about, and a lot of folks are very interested in Adobe Express. It is sort of a slightly easier to use graphics and communications platform it's not as advanced as Creative Cloud, but perhaps a little easier to use. So if you're not like a trained professional designer and Adobe Creative Cloud is a little too intimidating sometimes, then you might want to give Adobe Express a try. That might suit your needs, serve your needs better, and find it a little bit easier to use. There's a lot of templates in there that you can use to build out graphics, etc. There are some Teams memberships also available, which is Creative Cloud for Education. If that fits your nonprofit's mission, you can dive a little bit deeper into the TechSoup catalog and understand how to get into that. Another place where lots of nonprofits leverage technology is in accounting and finance. And at TechSoup, we have thousands of nonprofits who've come to us to get our offers around Intuit QuickBooks, right? QuickBooks is a pretty well-known global product at this point in time. There's, of course, very different versions of it depending on how many people need to use it. But at this point in time, we offer QuickBooks Online for $75 per year. And then there's an online advanced version as well, which is a little bit more money. And then I know that TechSoup has just started a new service to help nonprofits that have recently decided to switch to Intuit QuickBooks. And the service is like, how do you migrate your existing financial data into QuickBooks? So that's a service that TechSoup now provides. It's not a free service, right? We have to be able to pay for the things that we're offering. But if you are struggling with how to move your old data into QuickBooks, that's something we can also help with. And you can go to this online FAQ afterwards and get more details on QuickBooks. Those are the three biggest partners that we work with, but there are dozens more spread throughout the catalog. And so, on this slide, I'm just trying to show you some of the logos of some of the other corporations that we also work with, whose philanthropic arms have agreed that they really want to help nonprofits, and they work with TechSoup to do so. And we appreciate their partnership. And, we wouldn't be able to provide these services, products, offers, and support to nonprofits without, as they say in NPR, the generous support of some of these other folks that we work with. So we say thanks to everybody for their involvement in the catalog. But as I said, there's a lot going on in the catalog. We're not just software. There's also hardware at TechSoup. And I'll tell you what, during the pandemic, this has been of particular interest. We all know how supply chain issues have kind of really made it difficult sometimes to get things that you needed. And at TechSoup, we certainly experienced the same thing, but we are one more source where nonprofits have been able to go and get laptops, desktops, and other kinds of hardware. We have relationships with Dell, with Lenovo and HP. Dell and Lenovo run some quarterly promotions with TechSoup that we participate in, and you can get some really good competitive prices on the hardware at those places through TechSoup. Journey Ed is another hardware provider through TechSoup that has sort of smaller bits and pieces that can be helpful. And I want to do a special call out to the refurbished hardware arm of TechSoup. So TechSoup has been one of the leaders in promoting this notion of we shouldn't just throw away old computers that are, unusable anymore. I mean, if they really are so old that they're unusable, sure, let's recycle that. But newer items that just aren't in use can often be refurbished, just updated slightly or reaccredited as refurbished. And then, you can buy basically what's a gently used laptop or desktop computer. It meets your needs. It gives your staff what they need, but you're not paying like full market rate for a brand new computer each time. And so that refurbished hardware program at TechSoup has definitely been one of the things that a lot of folks have really liked working with over the last few years. And, if you are particularly working with like a green sensibility of really making sure that we reduce, reuse, and recycle, then the refurbished hardware program is great to know about. And this is, again, the TechSoup homepage, just showing you how you get to the hardware offers. You first have to click on the product catalog. Then on the left, you'll see the navigation here for hardware. All right, so That's software and hardware available through TechSoup, many more brands than I mentioned, and kind of worth your time to go through the catalog and take a look at everything. But as I said at the front, that's not all that TechSoup does, because in the modern world, it's not enough just to buy a piece of hardware or software. Often you also need support, perhaps on the front end, just evaluating which specific product it is that you need. And so, for instance, the Microsoft 365 product that I mentioned at the top, there are several different kinds of licenses that are available for that. And if you need help figuring out which license is actually right for your nonprofit, well, that's a service that TechSoup can provide. And in fact, we provide a lot more than just that service. It's just an example, but these services are a really critical part of what we find in the modern world we need to be able to support nonprofits with. So again, going to the home page to find these services, there's the navigation dropdown at the top of the screen. And each one of these is just a slightly different service. And we'll go into a couple of them here. The first one is called a help desk service. This is kind of like, you don't know what help you're going to need, but we always have trouble with this particular printer. This is particularly true for folks who still have like a brick and mortar on-site place. You can get a help desk service plan for a particular piece of hardware. And that means, we can help you troubleshoot it when something goes wrong. As I just mentioned, Office 365 or Microsoft 365 has lots of different services associated with it. I was talking about how do you choose your license, but really on the back end, there's a lot of other stuff that has to happen, including how to migrate your email addresses into that, how to bring other data into it. And that's a service that TechSoup can help you with as well. And then even if you're using the on-premises version, we have support for installation of those Microsoft products. Managed IT is another service product where what we're actually doing is looking at the broader technology stack at your nonprofit and trying to help you manage that over time. It's different than help desk, where it's just like something happens, it goes wrong, we help you fix it, and that's that. Managed IT is more about having a holistic view of your whole technology stack and really thinking through what are some best practices you need to think about on that. And then finally, I want to call out in that navigation item, the digital assessment tool. The digital assessment tool is this great grant-based tool that TechSoup began building a couple of years ago now that lets a nonprofit go through a sequenced set of questions about different operational areas at your nonprofit and help you really assess how well you're doing and where there's room for improvement. This is a great tool for executive directors, for board members, or even folks who are specifically in charge of the entire IT stack. Perhaps you've got some funding available to you to modernize your technology, but question is like, which specific part of it do you work on? The digital assessment tool is a great way to better understand where your organization might need a little bit of help. And it's also a great measurement of your overall digital maturity, right? So to go back to that term, digital transformation I talked about at the top, the assessment tool really lets you kind of understand where are you in that path of digital transformation and help you build a roadmap into the future of where you might want to improve. We also know over time with our research with nonprofits that one of the big technology areas that is specific is technology that helps with communications, outreach, and marketing. And this, of course, includes fundraising, right? In fact, if you think about it, the modern nonprofit, probably more than at any other time, has to be constantly communicating with a lot of different audiences. Certainly, you've got to communicate with board members, with your own staff. Perhaps you have a specific set of clients that you're serving that you also need to maintain a regular cadence of communications with. In many instances, there may be public leaders or press that you have to communicate with, or perhaps you even have like a large email list of, 5, 10, 20,000 people who somehow are interested in the work that your nonprofit does. All these are different communications audiences, and nonprofits put a lot of effort into talking to these folks all the time. Your website, of course, is one of the core tools that you use to talk to those folks all the time. And we've all sat in the internal debates within our own nonprofits about what should be at the top of the homepage on your website. And, should we do it this way? Should we do it that way? How often should we update this photo? One of the things nonprofits really need help with is how to do that website work. And in many cases, it means, do we need to redo the entire website, or can we just get away with updating it? Should we change platforms entirely? And we've got a service that is really designed to help you walk through some of those questions, and try to help you assess whether or not, you really need a new website, or, what kind of budget would it take to get a new website? And so that website consultation and development service is a new offer. And we know that lots of nonprofits are super interested in what to do with that this year. Similar to that, the outreach portion of communications, where we are not relying on people to come to us, but instead we're reaching out to them. And really, we're talking about email and ads most of the time. And maybe not everybody's using ads, but most of us are using email, right? These digital marketing services are another consultation area where we have interface with nonprofits. And then some folks on this call may already just be using Google Ad Grants. If you're not using Google Ad Grants, it's worth learning a little bit more about it. You can go online and literally Google that phrase. But the Google Ad Grant service effectively provides nonprofits with up to $10,000 a month in free AdWords advertising. There's some caps on like how you can run your bids and stuff, but lots of nonprofits get that service and then aren't sure exactly how to best use it, how to optimize it. And so we do have a service for nonprofits who are using the Google Ad Grants. And we can try to help you optimize that and evaluate how you should be using it best. A specific service, and I've mentioned this already up front, is TechSoup courses, right? Where we're stepping outside of just this consultation between TechSoup folks and nonprofits. And the courses really are designed to be something where any nonprofit staffer, and in fact, frankly, anyone, but it's intended for nonprofit staff, and the courses are developed for nonprofit staff, to build your skill set around some of the key technology areas. And like the catalog, there are too many courses to really list here in a specific webinar. But some of them that really jump out at folks are like at the top of the page here for us, it's tech planning. If you're looking ahead at how are you even going to create a budget, let's imagine that you are an IT manager. Or, as we also know, in many places, it's actually front office staff who often act as the IT manager at a nonprofit, right? If you are needing to plan out a budget a year ahead of time on technology, well, there's an awful lot of questions you have to answer for yourself about how to even plan ahead over the course of the next year. So tech planning is a great skill set to build. And then alongside that, as I said, Excel is a big one as well. So that's the digital skills one that I'm showing there. We have great stuff on email marketing, Google Analytics, as I mentioned already. But there are dozens of other topics in the TechSoup courses platform, and very well worth your time to just take a quick look there, particularly if you've got some specific staff that you think are asking for help on improving their tech skills, or maybe it's you yourself. But check out TechSoup courses. What I will point out is TechSoup courses is a separate actual platform from TechSoup.org. So you have to create a second login there. But hopefully that's not too much fuss to be able to do that. Oh, and to go into some more detail on that, yes, we have both English and Spanish courses available on TechSoup courses. And I think, yeah, it looks like we've got about over 70,000 folks now have logged in there. As I said, they are designed specifically for nonprofits. So like the course material is really written with 501c3s in mind. Anyone can sign up. This is different than using the TechSoup catalog, right? Where I said you really have to be a 501c3 to use the TechSoup catalog, like to get Microsoft and Adobe and stuff. But TechSoup courses is open to anyone. All right, and I've already mentioned some of those topics and the Microsoft Digital Skills Center, so worth looking at it. The folks in the courses team did ask me to highlight for you the nonprofit foundational skills track. So this is to say that some of these courses are actually like condensed into a bigger thing. And this track is designed to give you an overview of a bunch of different TechSoup courses. But you can see for yourself on the screen, obviously, from project management, Excel, remote team organizing, fundraising, grant writing, email marketing, all topics that most nonprofits need to pay attention to in one way or another. All right, so that's my quick deep dive into the different offers and supports that TechSoup can provide for your nonprofit. Now, I want to do a little deeper dive into two very specific things. And these are led by Kevin Mulhall and Kelly Garrett, who are here on the call with us today. And we're going to start with Kevin. Kevin is a customer success manager. You may have heard that term sort of in a more corporate environment, maybe perhaps, but at TechSoup, what customer success is about is really staying focused on making sure that nonprofits are getting the best out of us that they can possibly get. So Kevin and his team work to make sure that you're getting the help you need. So with that, I'll turn it over to Kevin. Welcome, Kevin Mulhall.
Thanks, Nick. That's nail on head right there. It's a pleasure to be speaking with you all today. Again, my name is Kevin Mulhall, and I am a customer success manager here at TechSoup. For those joining today that may not have heard of my team, that's completely understandable, as we're probably the youngest department here, I think now, within the TechSoup realm. I'll have some additional details regarding our team in a later slide. Before beginning, I'd like to start with a quick poll question. Not sure if, perfect. Oh, Aretha, you're the best. Is your organization currently using Microsoft or Office 365? We'll give this maybe about 30 seconds. You should see it popping up on your screen. Feel free to answer. If you don't want to answer, that's of course fine as well. I'm very curious on seeing where everybody else or everybody lands on this. Give it about maybe 10 more seconds. Let's see what we got here. Wow, this is great, 90%. So this is the third installment, I think, of this maybe, or fourth. We went from 67 on the first to 72 to 85 to 90. This is great. So the word is getting out on 365, the benefits of 365, particularly around the granted licenses, which is fantastic. If we can move to the next slide, please. So speaking to the offers themselves, the slide that we have here presents a breakdown of the pricing between the various types of 365 subscriptions. We begin with web-only offers such as Microsoft Business Basic, which is free up to 300 licenses for full-time, part-time, contract employees, as well as board members. If you have volunteers at your organization, you will need a specific license type for them. That would be the Microsoft F1 or F3. For the sake of time, I'm not going to go all the way into all of what you're seeing here on the slide, other than to follow up just simply what was referenced earlier regarding web-based subscriptions. In order to access the traditional Office suite, which was discussed earlier that many of you are familiar with, your organization will need to request what's called a hybrid license. Some examples of this subscription type are Office 365 E3, which I use, Business Standard, Business Premium, and the Microsoft Enterprise E3 or E5 offers. I also want to draw quick attention to the last item on the slide, Azure. For those interested in furthering their use of Microsoft Cloud, there is a $3,500 yearly grant nonprofits are eligible to apply for with Microsoft. With over 200 services, different services available as part of Azure, it's definitely something worth looking into. Next slide, please. Those interested and ready to begin their journey towards accessing Microsoft Cloud solutions for your organization, there is a three-step process. First, you'll need to create an account at the Microsoft Nonprofit portal. Next, you'll have that account validated by our validation service team. This is a service we provide for Microsoft on the back end and typically takes between 5 and 7 business days to process. Though Microsoft does note that it can potentially take up to 20 or 30. And the final part, we'll be introducing what we refer to as the TechSoup Cloud Manager or Cloud Manager tool to an authorized TechSoup user's account. Introducing this tool will allow you access the storefront where you'll be able to purchase licensing. The process is very similar to what you did when you registered first with TechSoup, and that you simply verified ownership of an email address in order to complete it. If you find yourself stuck at any part of the process, we do have a team at the ready to assist via chat, which you can see here on the screen in the bottom right corner. Next slide. Understanding the move to the cloud can be a challenge for organizations. We offer a free consultation service. During a session with us, we'll be able to assist with registration, choosing the appropriate subscription licensing, provide recommendations for services and courses, license implementation, and ongoing support to you at no additional cost. Last slide, please. So as promised, I wanted to give you a quick introduction and overview of what my team does. For the sake of time, I've broken it down into 5 general areas: technology reviewing and planning, organizational strategy, identifying opportunities for potential financial and volunteer support, triaging managed support projects and services, and providing quotes and invoices for bulk product requests. And with that, I'll pass it back over to you all.
Great. Thanks, Kevin. Now for the second person joining us today is Kelly Garrett. Kelly's Associate Manager in Client Services. And Client Services has a different job than the customer success team. Kelly's already been in chat answering lots of questions, and that's very much what that whole team does. Let me hand it over to Kelly Garrett. She can tell you more about our Client Services team.
Hey everyone, how's it going today? Hope you're having a good, oh gosh, is it Wednesday already? I swear, working remote, my days just blur together, but happy to have you all here and happy to be presenting for the Client Services Department. Client Services provides the account management and customer service to our TechSoup members or potentially interested members. So when you call our phone line, use our support chat, send us an email, you're working with the Client Services team. We are always here for help, and we do like to help members navigate our website, find the resources they're looking for. We can answer some basic questions, provide some basic support, and always direct you to where you can get better support as well. One thing that we always like to help members when they're just getting started with TechSoup do is navigate our website. So with the QuickBooks Online, here is our example. When you go to the product catalog, as Nick first explained earlier in this presentation, so you click that product catalog at the top of the screen. You can always then go over to the left and navigate by donor or company, category, or hardware. So to get to this page, I usually say, go to the donor or company, click into it. Once you see the product that you're interested in, that's when you can click on that, and it will load the product or the offer page that should have all the information that you need to answer most of your questions. We usually say that if the questions aren't answered on this product page, this is pretty much most of the information that TechSoup has available about this product, service, whatever the offer is. And if you have more in-depth ones, we usually recommend double checking with the partner that provided the product or service. They'll be able to answer a lot more in-depth stuff since their company created it, and all of our products are the exact same thing that's available on the commercial market. So QuickBooks Online Plus through TechSoup is the exact same product and software as QuickBooks Online Plus through Intuit. The main difference here is that it's the admin fee, which you see is always listed in red. Above that, you'll see that it does list out all the different categories you might be needing to look at. So, what platforms can it be run on? What format is it? Is it available? Sometimes we do have stuff go out of stock. We usually are working on restocking it, but it just kind of depends on how fast a partner can get us new keys or new licenses, things along those lines. Underneath the login button, which that orange button, if you do log in, that does turn into an add to cart button once you're there. But underneath that, we have 3 different tabs that we can kind of name different things. It's usually description on the left, rules, eligibility, and restrictions on the right. And the middle tab kind of changes names depending on what type of product or service the offer is. Always highly recommend clicking through all of these because a lot of our partners have a very strict no refunds policy. The no refunds policy is usually because we can't recoup licensing or products that we can then offer to a different nonprofit. So if you decide you don't want it or need it, it's kind of just been wasted now and no nonprofit can use it. So we always highly, highly, highly recommend read through everything. If you have some questions, reach out to us. If we can't answer you, we'll get you in contact with the partner and make sure you're just all squared away before you buy stuff. You want to make sure you're not just adding a cart and checking out, because we do have some very strict refund and exchange policies per our agreements with the partners and agreements at checkout. I did see that there were some questions. One thing for the QuickBooks Online, since this comes up quite a bit, is QuickBooks Online is a product that is designed for organizations that don't have a QuickBooks Online already. That's for both QuickBooks Online Plus and Advanced. Basically, if you have a commercial version already, you're going to have to do a data transfer to a new donated subscription. Intuit unfortunately doesn't have the ability to apply the nonprofit billing code in their system to existing accounts. So you do have to set up a brand new account and then do a data transfer over, which Intuit does provide support for. And we do have a great QuickBooks online data migration service that you can purchase as well underneath the TechSoup Services TechSoup Services option, which you can access through that donor or company drop down in the top left corner. That should hopefully answer some basic questions about QuickBooks. It's one of our most popular products. And just again, those 3 tabs, highly recommend reading all the way through them to make sure you're making the right call and you don't need to try to refund or exchange the product. Moving forward, thank you, Nick, for getting in touch for support. Like I was saying, if you want to contact us, double check some information, ask us any questions. We are here to help. We do recommend always checking out our help topics and our frequently asked questions, which you can access by clicking that help button in the top right corner next to the login button or the join button. Really good questions. We're actually in the process of right now flushing these out a bit more and trying to make them more in depth and more available. So you will be seeing some improvements to this area in the future. Below here, you will see that there is the contact us. There's a couple different contacts that we have available. We do have customer support. We do have PR. If there's a company that wants to become part of TechSoup as a partner, there's that link, things along those lines. Something to keep in mind is that this is all for the US-based organizations. If you have branches outside of the United States, please make sure your branch is registering with our partner in that country that's providing the services and the products in their own catalog. Unfortunately, you can't request products on TechSoup.org and send them to organizations your branch locations outside of the country. A lot of the products are geo-locked and won't work. So it's something to really make sure that if you are helping a organization outside the country, if you have a branch location, make sure they're registering their own accounts with our partners, and not coming to here to ask questions and try to get products, because they'll just get bogged down because they're not going to be able to move forward, since it's only 501c3 nonprofit organizations and libraries that have access to TechSoup.org. Moving forward. So on that previous slide that showed you the customer service, there was a contact us link. If you click that, that will take you to this contact us page. We do have our contact us form. You know, as a fellow nonprofit, we strive to get back to our member nonprofits as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, you know, with our unlimited resources, sometimes we do get backlogged. So it can take a while, like it can take, you know, 3 to 5 business days to get back to you, sometimes up to a week. So if you have an urgent issue, I do recommend using our chat feature. It is on quite a few of our pages on TechSoup.org. It's always on this contact us page when we're open and available. And then we also have a phone line that is available from 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time that you can always call as well. So we've got 3 great options, and just depends on your urgency. Calling and chat is the quickest way to get support. The contact us or emailing customer service at TechSoup.org will take sometimes up to a week to get a response. So that's for less urgent things, I would say. Call or chat with us. Chat's open from 7:30 to 4 p.m. every day. Again, Pacific Standard Time. We are located on the West Coast. So just keep that in mind. If you're in a different time zone, that's always throws people off sometimes. So we're always here to help. Next slide, please. Perfect. So as I said, the timing here is, chat support's actually from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Pacific time. That's our usual time. You know, we might be closed on a holiday, you know, if there's a 3-day weekend. Occasionally we have an all staff meeting, but for the most part, Monday through Friday, we are available on chat for 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. So you have that whole time frame to get in touch with us for speaking to a live, real person on chat. It's not an automated thing. We also have the phone support. That's a little more limited. That's just the 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. Pacific time. And then again, we have that contact us form. It's usually 3 to 5 business days. Can be a little bit longer, can be a little shorter, just depending on what our volumes are. Everyone seems to have their budget reset at the same time. Everyone seems, you know, kind of go through the same thing. We are all in the same nonprofit sector. So we definitely have backlogs that can happen. One thing I do like to call out is TechSoup's customer service is customer service and account management. We are not an IT service. So we can help you with managing your TechSoup account. So you need a new representative on there. You are having login issues. You're curious about your eligibility. You want help navigating resources and products on the TechSoup website. We can help with that. What we are not able to help with is if you run into, you know, you need someone that needs to help you with downloading and installing a product. You have product functionality issues, you have in-depth product questions, you need IT support, things along those lines that kind of go on beyond basic support and are more in-depth. That's something we won't be able to assist with. And that's when you're going to want to look at those TechSoup services, where we have a great option of like a one-time installation support. We have a one-time issue fix. We have a 5-hour setting, a lot of different options, which again, if you go to that donor or company drop down in the product catalog, you will be able to click on TechSoup services and see all the different services we have. They are priced for nonprofits. And they are connecting you to our partners that provide the services. Basque and Tech Impact are usually the ones you will be working with, but we do have some other partners that provide different services and things along those lines. So highly recommend checking out the services if you run into any issues. And just a reminder that, you know, you're welcome to call us to see if we can help, but just anticipate that if it's a download, installation, IT issue, something like that, we'll probably be directing you to look at the TechSoup courses, TechSoup services page and help you pick out one of the services. And I know we have a couple more Q&A in here. Is the QuickBooks Online only available in the US? I'm not sure. Let's see here. just want to see one more question. Shall I wait for you to send me a user password to log into QuickBooks? I think we addressed that in the Q&A section. Someone was asking, are we sending a user password to a login into QuickBooks? No, you're going to have to register a brand new account, and then you will have to transfer your data over to your new donated QuickBooks Online subscription. And we do have an FAQ that can walk you through that stuff. And then the next question I see in here is the QuickBooks Online only available in the US? That I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to check our different companies. We're in pretty much every country around the world, except embargoed countries or countries that legally have some issues going on. So there's a lot of countries, so I'd need to know a specific country and I could double check it for you. And that's all I have.
Great. Thank you so much, Kelly. And thank you, everybody, for the great line of questions in chat. Almost every time we do this webinar, one of the things I notice in chat is, well, actually, there's two things I notice. One, there are some very common questions, which we do see all the time, but there's always some questions which we haven't seen before. And so I appreciate everybody asking. And again, for us, this is super helpful because this helps us do a better job at what our own mission is. Again, like I said at the top, we're here to kind of help nonprofits with technology itself. So when we hear real feedback from real people in other nonprofits who are using tech, it definitely helps us. So it's 10:51 here on the West Coast. We've been at it for a while here, and I really appreciate everybody's time and attention today. As I said, we'll be sending out a copy of this deck afterwards in the follow-up email. There are live links in the deck throughout it. I apologize in advance if one or two links, maybe don't work here or there as you click on them. Just sometimes it's a matter of making sure that the link matches what is clicked on exactly. Also, Google is your friend on this stuff. And if you just go to the TechSoup site itself, you should be able to get around pretty easily within there. But I do want to just reinforce for folks that TechSoup product catalog, for the most part, is for 501c3 nonprofits. And if you've not yet registered with your nonprofit with TechSoup, please do that. It's the first major step you have to take towards taking advantage of some of these other offers that we've put in front of you here during this webinar today. And as I said, if you go to the homepage on TechSoup.org, it's right in the top right-hand corner. You can join TechSoup there. And other than that, thank you very much for coming today. We appreciate all your time and attention. And I just want to also say that, like, from one nonprofit to another, thank you. You've made an active decision to put your work life into something to help make the world a better place, whether it's, at the local level or in your own community, or maybe there's some big global issue that you're advocating on. But thank you. We try to do the same here, and appreciate all your time and energy. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
See you, everyone. Thank you so much.